Marlon, let's go all the way down to the gutter. How
Hmm.
how when and where did all this get started?
Okay. The food shortage thing has not been a new phenomena. They have been prepping and planning this for a while. Um, People who are familiar with a certain agenda, and I'll get to that near the end of the program, but they had stated that they needed something done by 2005 that had to do with agriculture and food. Um, and what they started to do was to try and create a way for government to intervene in the lives of farmers and control how they produce things, what method they produce them by, how much they could produce, whether or not they could even produce something, and then they started regulating how much people could produce on their own outside of farms. So in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, a certain individual by the name of Bush created a division, and it was called the Spectrum Plan. Now, the Spectrum Plan implemented a brand new set of agencies to deal with um, agriculture. The first one was Animal and Plant Health Inspection Services, Agriculture Research Service, Departmental Administration, Farm Services Agency, Forest Service, Food Safety and Inspection Service, Natural Resources Conservation Service, and the Office of the Inspector General. So you have a bunch of agencies that now have federal control over everything farmers did. Um, the bigger bottom line is that it was all based on lobbying from pesticides companies. Monsanto was a big one. Okay. So you have people that were intentionally creating poison in the foods, and the government sided with them to make a rule over the farmers to have them use these pesticides, or they don't have the right to perform agriculture. Um, Now, the question here is, why would they create agencies to survey and monitor people who know how to farm? At what purpose? And the only thing I can come up with is to eventually regulate what can be produced, how much it can be produced, and who produces it. And all that plays an impact on the way things are right now.
Wow. Wow. Oh, am I still on the screen?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There.
Okay, I thought I pushed the wrong button. So, how does the agencies how do they directly affect the food supply?
Okay. So, take for instance, I talked to you before about people being able to plant or not plant wheat here in Washington State. Okay, you have only a certain patch you can. You can't really plant wheat. That's now illegal. Okay, it's illegal for regular people to plant wheat. The flip side is that farmers now have to
No,
use a certain type of
wait a
what?
minute, hold on. But what is the excuse for not being able to plant wheat?
They have never given one, and they don't need to. That's the problem. See, they never have to give you a reason,
Yeah.
a logical answer. They just say you can't. Okay, no. The same reason they say you can't collect rainwater, like it's theirs or something. I don't know.
Right, that's just crazy, right?
Insanity. But again, control, right? So you have control, governmental control. And it all makes sense by the end of this, okay? So if you get to determine who grows, what grows, and by whom it grows, and then you get to control what gets put into the ground, what gets to protect it, and all that stuff. The only option people who have farmlands, the only option they have is either to comply or lose their farmland. Now, the question is, what happens to a farmland when you can't or won't comply with regulation? Say, for instance, you want to go completely organic and not use a pesticide. By government regulations, they can decide, no, you have to, if you're going to be doing any sort of business within the confines of the United States. So now say you can't and you won't do it. We'll say, well, you got to shut down shop because we'll send our inspectors out. And if you're not complying with the way we set stuff up, we're shutting you down. So what happens to farmland that's been shut down? Some of them have hundreds and hundreds of acres, right? They go dormant. A weird thing though, there's a certain individual that's been buying up a bunch of farmland. And I find it kind of weird that he just wants to buy farmland. And he passes it off as it's one of his, oh, it's one of my subsidiaries. It's not really me buying a farmland. It's a
Oh,
different,
no.
yeah, yeah, it's a different
It's
thing that
only
I put
it's
together.
they're only using my money.
Yeah.
It's not they're just using my money. It's not me.
Wendy, you just wait. Oh, trust me, yeah, it is. Okay. Um, so now you have a method in place to displace farmers, a method in place to open up barren farmland, really good land, by the way. And then you have a method to reduce the amount of produce going out to the American people. Now, mind you, this is starting back way back in the 90s, 80s. They put these things into, they brought in pesticides. And then the pesticides creators finally had a lobbying option. They finally won. They've been working on it since they worked with Clinton, the former Bush, and then they finally had it all passed when Bush Jr. came into power. So you have people, and the reason someone said China, the reason China is able to buy up farmland is because of what Herbert Walker Bush did with all of the deals he made with China in multiple other countries via the American government. So now you have a conglomerate of multiple nation states coming together to make rules for you, the American farmer, over something that you already know how to do for probably been doing for generations back. All of a sudden now the government steps in and said, nope, you can't plant that. Why? You just can't. Unless you use that pesticide on that plant and then eat it, you can't get it done.
So